So we're just going to introduce ourselves. My name is Ọmọlará McAllister, and I run this thing called the Freedom School for Artists, which is an organization that helps black and brown folks who are queer and trans, who are chronically ill, disabled from the South and the global South, who are also cultural organizers and artists, to connect to the tools, skills, resources, and information they need to build thriving careers. And today, I'm excited to be talking with
Annie. I'm Annie. Nice to meet you all. Also known as Pixie. Annie, are you okay?
How would you describe your work? Yourself?
I am a dancer and a poet, and I am a self-proclaimed whore.
Okay.
That's what I would describe my gender as.
I was like, your work, you were like gender self-proclaimed.
Yeah, a lot of my dance and poetry and artwork is about being a whore, and a stripper and a dancer and a sex worker, and how that relates to me being black and how that affects me and my safety, how I express myself, how people react to me, how I react to the spaces I'm in. So, yeah. And also I'm West Indian. I'm from Antigua. I'm from the Caribbean, so.
I love that. Okay, part of my cultural organizing / artwork is, can I direct you a little for this moment?
Yes.
I just want you to cheat yourself towards the camera. So like turn your chair.
Thank you.
Like this. And you're going to talk to me, but you're also going to talk to them. Okay, yes. Perfect. You can turn your whole chair. Yeah. There you go. Yes. Okay, there you go. So you can get me and you can get them. Yeah, so today we're talking about twerking, and we'll first just talk about how we got to talking about twerking. I have this open studio that I do twice a week down the street, where we collage and make zines and make paper and do these other things. And one day you were there, and we were talking about, how do we get to the conversation?
You were talking about being from the South and being black and growing up with like the Atlanta strip club scene, like Blue Club.
And I was trying to figure out where to buy a slingshot.
Yes, you were trying to figure out where to buy a slingshot, monokini. And I was like, well, I can help with that. And also, I was just speaking about like the differences in working in a gentleman's club as opposed to an urban strip club.
In Miami, specifically. Recently.
Yes, and how Miami strip club culture is very segregated. And how it's just something that people aren't really aware of exactly how working in a strip club is here, because like the face of stripping or even dancing, a lot of people do think of twerking and like black women, but the reality of it is it's actually much harder to be hired as a black woman as a stripper in the city of Miami. So.
And you were also talking about all the shade, all the tea.
Yeah, we were being shady. Very shady.
The non-black people don't necessarily dance, or they don't necessarily
twerk.
Yeah,
they don't. Like, definitely stripping in especially a gentleman's club, you learn, this is something I've spoken with Golden as well, is like, you have to come in with a full face of makeup. Like, you kind of pretty much have to be like the perfect ideal of a stripper, while you watch your white counterparts kind of come in like no makeup. They are not able to twerk. It's like you literally have to be good at everything. You have to throw down the pole work. You have to shake your ass like extra hard. You can't like slack anywhere. And so we were talking about that, and we were also speaking about how a lot of pole dance spaces and dance classes have been like these twerk classes that are directed by white women.
Yes, because I can't twerk.
Yes.
I can't twerk. And
we're working on O's twerking skills.
I was like, I want to learn how to twerk, but I will not learn how to twerk from a white person. I will not do it. And I don't want to learn how to twerk in front of white people.
Yes.
I just don't want any white people involved in anything that involves me twerking or attempting to twerk.
Yes.
Ever.
And I've done it, and it's uncomfortable.
Yeah. And then you were like, I can help you with that.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's how we got to this idea of a twerk shop. But we were like, well, if we're going to have a twerk shop, I was like, I need a twerk shop. If we're going to have a twerk shop, then we also have to talk about, like, what is the history of twerking. So the first part, which is as much for me as it is for anybody else, is like, this is going to sound like a really, really stupid, it's like base level on the floor question, but like, what is twerking.
So, what is twerking and?
Well, because, okay, so you have like winding.
Yes.
You have like belly dance.
Yes.
You have like, I don't even know what they call it, but my family's Yoruba, and it's like little tiny hip circles. It's not like winding, it's like a little, like very small hip circle, but there's no front and back. There's just round, round, round.
So
round,
everything
round.
you just mentioned is kind of involved in twerking history, obviously, because culture does not exist in a vacuum. However, twerking specifically doesn't just involve hip movements. Your butt cheeks are actually moving. They actually have to jiggle. They actually have to shake. And the origins, as far as we know, the closest dances they can find are like Central African Bantu, which is mapuka, where you shake your butt and whatnot. And then in the 20s, so belly dancing is interesting that you've mentioned that, because as I've also belly danced, but a lot of like kind of the movement and isolation in belly dance is very similar to twerking. And the reason is because in the 20s, belly dancing was actually so influential in burlesque dance.
Pause. Burlesque.
Burlesque is one of like the origins of stripping as we know it.
We're going to come back to that.
But 20s, there were dances in specifically black spaces like the shimmy, the shake, the mess around, even the Charleston, where there's a lot of gyrating, and that soon evolved into twerking. And specifically twerking is like in the Caribbean, there's like, mind you, there's many dances that are similar to twerking or can look like twerking, but the twerking we know, even just like the rhythm of like Southern hip hop, is uniquely Black American and uniquely African American.
And uniquely from the South.
And uniquely from the South, especially the dirty South, which is New Orleans, Houston, Texas, Atlanta, Miami.
Where I'm from. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Miami. Those are like the uniquely Southern places.
And I feel like I want to raise too. Okay, so twerking comes from those places. I come from those places. Mm-hmm. Like I was born and raised in Atlanta. My mom's family is Louisiana Creole. Mm-hmm. My dad's family is Yoruba. He's from Lagos, Nigeria. And I don't know how to twerk. And I wanted to just raise, like for me as a Black person born and raised in the South who now lives in the South in my 30s, to be like, okay, I'm learning how to twerk just now. There's also, which we haven't talked about, Black respectability politics, and just the way that like there's a separation of this is a thing that is culture, that is, I don't know, good culture, valued culture, something we should be doing, versus this is something that is not valuable or we don't want to be doing. And twerking, for me, went into that. I was, taught that it like wasn't a respectable thing, and like a very anti-sex worker situation at the same time that people were like going to strip clubs,
Yes,
at night.
It's a thing, and that's like a part of identifying as a whore, because growing up and being a kid that always twerked and danced at block parties, that was always my jam. I was always the booty shaker, and it was always like I was really taught to be against it. Even in the Caribbean, like whining, we see that as a huge expression of Caribbean culture, and a lot of people think of that as a part of Caribbean culture. But there are a lot of aspects of Caribbean culture that are popular, or Black culture that are popular, that people don't actually realize are not seen as good even within our communities. Like you're told, like, don't dance like this, it's not appropriate, like you're gonna get inappropriate male attention, you're not showing yourself as an educated young lady, like you're like a heathen, like that's the idea of that, because it's a dance that thrusts your hips, and like in Western American white supremacy, it's seen as dirty because it's sexual.
And because sexist.
And it's sexually inviting. And it's weird because obviously if you're a kid doing it, it's not sexual. It's simply a dance. But I do also, in the context of being adults and being like femmes, being women, being queer people, like what's wrong with it being sexual? Like there's nothing wrong with sex.
Well, that's an interesting thing too, because I moved to Miami a year and a half ago. And one of the things that was super confusing to me is that people will like throw ass on each other. I had never seen or understood people to throw ass on each other, and like just like, hey friend, like you arrive at the party and somebody's like, hey friend, and then they just throw their ass, and I'm like, okay, like, and it's completely nonsense. It's like, I don't want to fuck you, I'm not trying to fuck you, you just my homie, but this is what we're gonna do. And so it's like a completely different cultural context of a thing. And then on top of that, now I love it when white people are wrong and then they use science to go back and be like, we discovered this new thing that we were wrong about. So, you know, now white science is like, did you know that the hips are where you store trauma?
Yes.
And if you want to release your trauma, you can learn twerking from this white lady.
Yes, which is also co-opted from East Asian and Asian culture, like sacral chakra, root chakra, which is like the whole conversation around the way they've taken yoga from people. But yeah, now they figured out that there's a lot of like pelvic floor tension that happens with people, and it affects like sex and vaginismus, and literally twerking.
Wait, vaginismus?
Vaginismus is like when your vagina is so tight that like, you know, it's hard to have penetrative sex that way.
Okay.
And it's something that can make like many people very uncomfortable with having sex. Now they found out it's great for sexual trauma and just for trauma because you store so much of it in your hips and in the lower half of your body. So yeah, now they figured out like why twerking is good. So now it's okay for all of us to do it, I guess.
For white women to do it.
Yes.
In classes. But our class is just for black and brown folks.
Twerk shop. Yes, it's just for black and brown people.
Which is happening on Sunday.
April 13th.
April 13th.
2:30 to 4:30 p.m.
Here in Miami. We'll share the flyer. They'll share the flyer. And we have all this history, which we're going to unpack more over multiple episodes. But, like, what are we going to learn?
In the twerk shop, you are going...
Okay, you can give me the, like, long academic answer, but then I, want a demo. I'm going to get a prop while you talk about that.
Okay. So in the twerk shop, you are going to learn the basics of twerking. You're going to learn how to fast twerk. You're going to learn how to slow twerk. It is going to be about sensuality and being seductive, because I think that's a thing that people are struggling with in our world. People are shaming sensuality, and I think people need to shake their ass and be comfortable with that. And we're also going to learn some body awareness, because it's really hard to twerk or do any type of sensual dances if you're not aware of your body and you're not comfortable in your body in a certain way. We're also going to learn a bit of twerking history. We're going to listen to a lot of Southern hip hop. You know, we're going to put some other stuff in there because there are a lot of Caribbean traditions like dance hall and whatnot where there are some twerking moves, but it's going to be focused a lot on Southern hip hop. So we're going to listen to a lot of Too Short and some bounce music. And we're just going to release all that energy, because twerking is also very communal. It's something that Black people do together, Black women do together, but especially outside of heteronormativity, Black queer people twerk together, and it's very freeing. Like you said, here at parties, people do it, which is also a very Caribbean thing, like the concept of daggering. Daggering is when you're jamming your body on someone else's butt really hard. And, you know, I dagger on my friends all the time.
So is daggering twerking or not twerking?
It's not twerking, but someone may be twerking on you and you may be daggering them. Daggering is the act, I'm the person behind.
Very theoretical. I need the visuals. So yeah. We're gonna do
a demo.
I want to understand.
O also is Nigerian, so O knows how to spray some money and do a money spread.
But first, we're gonna learn how to do the thing.
Okay, we're gonna learn some booty shaking, some waist whining, all of that good stuff. Real quick.
And you're gonna tell me what the different things are. So we have Annie, who's maybe an expert, and we have me, questionable.
Yes.
Questionable. So, I don't know how we're going to manage this microphone situation while we do it, though.
Listen.
I believe in you. I don't believe in me.
Listen.
This camera's back there.
So, yes. So, when you're whining, you're moving your waist.
Okay, so this is not twerking.
This is not twerking.
This is whining. What is whining?
Whining comes from the word winding. And you're just moving your waist to the music. It's usually slow.
We should have brought music.
You could do a fast whine.
Okay.
You could do a slow whine.
And that's around.
Yes.
We're going around.
You're going around.
Okay.
You can go back and forth. You can go back
body
and
roll
forth
is a
while
wind?
you do it. Yeah.
Body roll is.
Yeah, you could do a back and forth.
Okay.
It's a lot of pelvic thrusting. When you're daggering, like I was telling you, daggering, would you care to loose? Would you like to be in a daggering example? Because I have daggered loose before, so come on, loose.
Loose is like, I wasn't prepared to be on this.
Okay,
I'm
no,
like,
it's okay.
we need a booty. Am I the booty? Just tell me what to do. Tell me where to be. I don't know where to be. I don't know what's happening.
Wait, Golden got it because Golden's Jamaican and also my
And
favorite.
Golden is also our other instructor.
You're also your other twerk shop instructor. And Golden is my favorite daggering partner because
Clearly,
that booty is fat.
I am not.
Yes. So when you dagger,
So remember where the camera is.
When you dagger, we're gonna have Golden here.
Okay, so you're daggering.
I am daggering Golden, yes.
Okay.
And this is...
Okay, so that's daggering.
Yes.
Winding.
And then a nice little bump and grind or slow grind together.
Okay. So what else is not twerking but twerking adjacent?
I would say mostly like whining would not be twerking.
But that's twerking. That's not twerking.
Wait, what'd you just do? Oh, that is a twerking move.
I have to be in a squat to be twerking.
Yeah, this is also, there's twerk moves where it's, the real thing is that twerking is like an isolation that happens with the butt and the knees and the hips.
Okay.
So you can, this is like everyone's favorite twerk.
Everybody who can do it. So then,
And
what
nothing else is really moving. The butt is moving. There may be some hip movement, but like a common thing that happens, especially with the white woman twerk industrial complex, is that will happen. This is like a popular meme or whatnot with the white woman, and it'll be like this.
Okay, the shoulders are
there
not
is
required.
no back popping because there is something called popping, but twerking.
Okay, what is popping?
When you're popping, you're like moving your body and you're like popping in and out, like your booty popping, like
Okay.
A twerk version of that would be like you're just throwing ass, because it's also because of the origins with bounce music.
Can you twerk and pop at the same time?
You actually can, yes.
Okay.
You can do twerking and many things at the same time. You can mix up the styles.
But they're just different things.
There's difference. And then there's also like going into a squat, which is popular. In Florida, in the South, we have something called like bucking.
Bucking?
Yeah, bucking is like when you're in a squat and you got your knees going to the floor and it's a popular in hip hop majorette. So yeah, you start getting it. You scrub the ground.
Scrub the ground. Scrub the ground. Oop, we're losing the shoes. The shoes are gone. We have no shoes.
Florida way. So you're scrubbing the ground. You want to get down like.
So that's not twerking.
It's called bucking. So I would say it's not necessarily exactly twerking, but it's a part of that family of movement. Because ideally, if you know how to buck, you know how to twerk.
I can't do any of these things. And so what is the entry level? Where do we start? Where is the place before we start?
I would say an entry level twerk is like the easiest twerk, I think, is
or like what is the first thing that you can teach me how to do?
It would be the one we've been working on. It'll be the one we've been working on, which is you just stand and you do the booty shake. That one is a little more.
Stand and do the booty shake. So you stand.
Mm-hmm. And you do want to add a little stiffness to your knees, but still keep them relaxed because we don't want to lock our knees in any physical activity. And you want to kind of use your knees to isolate your butt and shake it. So I've been telling O to imagine there's like strings coming from the pinky toe, coming up to the hip, to the waist, and you're using your butt to pull those strings up and rock them back and forth.
Something, not very much, but something is happening.
Something is happening.
Is it happening?
And then just move left to right a little.
Ooh, you keep trying to get me to do this, and I'm
Yes. And just imagine like you're shaking it, like you're vibrating just a little.
I am imagining.
Try to transfer the weight from the outside of your pinky toe into your big toe.
Big toe.
Yes.
Big toe outside.
Ooh, we got some motion.
Big toe. Ooh, not on a beat. Not on a beat. Not on a beat.
And you can even move.
You is somebody who is not me. I'm like, Golden could do it. Do it. I'm like, can I do it on the beat? Can I do it on the beat?
Yes, you're doing it on the beat. You're twerking. Ah!
Baby twerk. Baby twerk, twerk.
Yes. You could do this too if you come to the twerk shop on Sunday.
They too could do it at the twerk shop. Okay.
Yes.
So thank you, DJ Wansi.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so
I lost my clothes.
that is what twerking is.
Yes.
That's a little bit of what we're going to learn. I would also like to just add a disclaimer that I got that little tutorial from you a week ago, so I've been practicing.
O's been practicing.
That was a week of practice.
O messages me in the middle of the night and is like, I got something else to move, my pinky toe. It's so revolutionary. So,
Miracles happen.
Yes.
That's a week
There
worth
can
of
be
work.
miracles.
Yes. And earlier in the conversation, I was asking you, because you mentioned burlesque, and we were talking about belly dancing in the 20s. And so now, can you walk it back for me? Okay, I'm clear that twerking is not bucking, but they can go together.
Yes.
It is not daggering, but they can go together.
Yes.
It's not winding, but they can go together.
Yes.
It's not popping.
No. Because there's so much we can talk about, because within whining, there's
Which
something
are all
called
like
ticking,
things.
which
Oh yeah, I know that one.
ticking
Where
is
it's like tick.
yeah, and that's also a Southern dance as well, ticking as well. So there are things that can go together, like culture, like imagine we're always beefing as a diaspora,
all
but
just-
we have all of these
all these
things
things.
that are so together.
So then walk it back for me. We have some idea of what twerking is. Where did it come from? Like, how did twerking become, what's the lineage of, like I got a mama and a daddy and I got grandparents and they got so how did we?
It's a lot. There are a lot of places where you could say twerking came from. I would go back to like the 20s when clubs and dancing were very segregated.
Prohibition era. So
yes.
we're Prohibition era, we're flappers, we're Great Gatsbying.
And we're shaking, which we took from black people.
Shaking.
Like there's a dance called the shake.
What's the shake?
The shake is like you're shaking your body, like you're shaking your hips, like to music.
Okay.
Which also is kind of a part of like the Charleston.
Okay.
Things that were popularized by Josephine Baker, who like even her dance in the banana skirt is like a precursor to twerking. And then there's like the shimmy, the mess around, the black bottom. Like
I'm like, I don't know what any of these things. I know who Josephine Baker is.
Yeah, Ma Rainey, who's
Okay.
a popular singer from them, which were also at the time seen as really explicit and provocative and inappropriate because black people were doing them, and then they were taken by white people. Like a huge example is Elvis.
Yes.
Like Elvis thrusting his hips in that way. Those are precursors of twerking. And a lot of it comes from like there were dances that were done on the plantation by enslaved people, like fish and tail dances.
What is a fish and tail dances?
So we don't really have recordings, but they're dances where you're like imitating, like shaking your butt, shaking your hips, like a lot of thrusting. A lot of the times, those were the only ways that enslaved people were able to express themselves and keep their culture, which is also very similar in like Latin American countries and the Caribbean as well.
And so far, what I've heard you say is Central Africa.
Yes.
I can't remember the people that you were saying.
Bantu.
The Bantu people.
Yes.
Is kind of a perhaps origin point. I think one of the things that people often incorrectly attribute is West African folks, which
Yes.
I don't see a lot of the movements you're talking about as twerking in West African
Yeah.
dance.
But I
per
think
se.
there could be, but there's so many ethnic groups that it would be very hard to pin that down.
Yep.
I also do think, like, when we talk about, like, the trauma and, like, root chakra and all of these things, I do think we have to give our ancestors credit. They were going through a lot of trauma, so it makes sense they would go through a dance that would relieve that. Like, they would come up with something to relieve that, and that was one of the ways. Like, there are other dances in other countries, like in Colombia, mapale, candombe in Uruguay. And interesting, like, specifically, especially in Miami, because of, like, these twerk classes in white spaces, kind of trying to... There definitely is a problem in Miami with saying things are black. I don't know why, but...
What do you mean? Like, people won't say they're black?
Like, people seem to not really like to acknowledge that things originate from black people.
Oh, people just don't like to say black in Miami.
They don't like to say black, which is interesting because...
But even in innocuous situations, like I was at the gym yesterday.
They
and
like
I was
whisper it or
trying to
mouth it.
distinguish between two people, and they were like, "Oh, you know the one." I was like, "The black one or the white one?" Like, one of them was black, one of them was. Which one are you talking? And when I said the black one, they were like,
yeah, which makes things confusing when you're doing something that's from someone's culture.
Yeah, when you can't say black.
And then you don't want to say black, but it's literally a black thing. Like that dance mapale from Colombia, the other name for the dance is baile negro, which means black dance. So it's like, some of you are from a country where the dances are literally called black dance. And you literally don't want to say black, but it's like, it's clear that it's from black and Afro descended peoples. So even the music that you use, it's like, you're not twerking to Michael Bublé in the studio. You are twerking to black Southern music, which even now, like I saw like a studio use a Queen Herbie song for a twerk workshop, and Queen Herbie is a white woman that raps. And that's when you kind of have to go, like, hello. Like, you know, that white lady can rap, and maybe y'all can twerk, but then you put it together, and that's too much appropriation for my taste. Like, it's extremely appropriative.
Do you think, okay, I want to bring us back to the timeline. I'm going to hold that question, which is, how do people do cultural appreciation versus cultural appropriation with twerking? But I'm going to hold that question.
Yes.
Because we're on the continent. We're like maybe Bantu people.
Yes.
We're coming here. You're talking about the fish and tail dances that people were doing, enslaved people were doing on plantations. That's going to be in the late 1800s. And then in the early 1900s, 1920s, you've got Ma Rainey, Josephine Baker. You have white women in fringe who are, you know, shaking themselves, right?
Yes.
And then we did a little skip to Elvis, but I want to go back. Go back before Elvis. So you've got cabaret.
Yes.
Right, because Josephine Baker was in cabaret culture. And then earlier you said burlesque, and I was like, what's burlesque, right?
Yes.
So how does that fit into the timeline? Because we're at cabaret now in like the 1920s, 1930s.
Well, burlesque, just like the shaking dancing, even when you're speaking about flappers, just a connection to like women being extremely sensual or seen as whores. Also, a lot of those things, like even like Betty Boop and things like that, were taken from like the aesthetic of like black women. But burlesque definitely ties into stripping and clubs because there's a huge segregation in strip clubs now, and a lot of that in the beginning, like burlesque being performed in like gentlemen's clubs. There's just a lot of shaking. Like the dance aspect, from what I was looking up of it, there's not much video. Like I was trying to find a lot of videos, but the description is just that people were shaking, and a lot of that was from black clubs, and they were taking those dances from black clubs.
And then, okay, so burlesque and juke joints, which we didn't talk about,
Yes.
but if you're looking at the sharecropping era
Yes.
where people are having little juke joints, which is where
Yes.
Black folks are getting off of work.
In the South, yes.
And they're going somewhere where people are playing live music, and you've got all sorts of blues dancing, which is something
Yes.
else that white people have co-opted and appropriated.
Yes.
Is happening in those spaces. But then when we talk about burlesque, because like I think I was in my 20s before I was introduced. I mean, I grew up with stripping because I grew up in Atlanta. I grew up with stripping and twerking and wine. I didn't necessarily know the names for these things, but they were around.
Yes.
But burlesque, when I was 20, I was like, what is this? What is going on? I mean, and then I was like, oh, fan dances, like all of this different stuff. So what is burlesque? How is burlesque different from stripping?
Yes.
And how does it fit into the culture or the history of twerking?
So burlesque, as far as I know, is a dance style. There's a specific aesthetic, like there's nipple tassels. It's a very slow strip tease as opposed to modern stripping culture. I will also say, this is my observation of burlesque, it has stayed much more similar to its origins than what stripping has. But it definitely is one of the origins in the West of stripping. But stripping has literally evolved into like full nudity, which doesn't necessarily happen in burlesque at all times.
Sure.
There's just more of a tease. Even the burlesque scene, I find, doesn't always happen like in a strip club.
Which makes
space.
me think maybe in the future we'll have Nami Flair come.
Yes.
And have you
I
all
was
do a
just thinking of
conversation.
Nami
Yeah.
because I think Nami would be able to better answer questions about burlesque and burlesque history. Just because burlesque
Local,
is not
Black, queer, Caribbean, burlesque.
Yes, there's like feathers. There's much more props. There are props in burlesque that you use. There's more teasing. There's not really, as far as I've seen, like lap dancing or touch. There are lap dances, but I don't think there's as much as touching with a customer in a certain way. There's not like money.
And so stripping, I mean, I feel like people have always stripped, but maybe I'm wrong about that.
Oh yeah,
like,
they've
what
been
is
stripping forever. People just been taking off their clothes for a long time, you know. People
But,
seem to like that.
What is I mean, I guess it's legal now. People do it in clubs.
There's also
So
people's
stripping
private
and twerking, like how do those, what is the conversation between those?
So I would say being a Black stripper, but also I'm not just like someone who stripped. I've also been a strip club customer in Black clubs, which actually is why I started pole dancing, like why I try to make that just like there's a lot of anti-stripping sentiment and whatnot.
Wait, why did you start pole dancing?
Because of watching strippers in the strip club. And I was like, this is amazing. Like, I like it. Yeah, KOD. I used to be at KOD, like, throwing cash, like, throwing it up, like, the booty, like, they smell so good. I was like, this is, like, these are women. Like, these are some baddies. Like,
That's funny because when I was growing up in Atlanta, I haven't been to a strip club in Atlanta, in Miami yet, full disclosure. And part of the reason is because I grew up in Atlanta. The first strip club I went to was the Pink Pony, which I feel like that's shady, but I was not 18 when I went for the first time. And I remember being like, damn, strippers are athletes.
yes.
Because I saw like women like climb a pole, suspend herself by her ankles or knees from the ceiling.
Yes.
And then twerk on the ceiling. And I was like, that,
Yes.
I didn't have any money, but I
Y'all.
was like, that shit is wild. And I'm really thankful to P-Valley, the show.
Yes. P-Valley is a good, I think, representation.
Which came out of the playwriting work of Katori Hall, who is a Black playwright from the South from Memphis. Because when I saw that show, a thing that I loved about it is how it really highlights the like athleticism
Yes.
and showmanship and like performance aspect of stripping.
Yes.
But I haven't been to a club in Miami because every other city that I've lived in, I have tried to go to a strip club and I have been confused when I got to the strip club.
Yeah. Has there been problems being let into the strip club by yourself?
No.
Or?
I just get into the strip club and I'm like, I don't understand what's happening. I understand what's not happening because I came from Atlanta.
Yes.
And so I'm like, wait, I'm
Yeah.
expecting like performance. I'm expecting, again, like athleticism.
We're losing recipes.
Dynamicism. And then you just have a person who's like walking around a pole, and I'm like, this is not. Because there is a pole, but is there dancing?
Yeah.
Is the stripping? Is there? Questions.
We're losing recipes because of racism, because of colorism, because of the recession, because of male strip club owners being really not thinking. The thing about it is that with stripping, when we say like sex work is work or stripping is work or a job, people don't treat it the way they treat other capitalist things. Like if you were to go, when you go to Target, there are things they do at Target to make sure that you buy. There are things that they do to welcome you. There's design. There's something that goes into making sure that those employees can help you in a certain way. And in the strip club now, it's just like, we're going to hire who I think is pretty. That's what the managers do. And that's it. And who you think is pretty.
Well, I was going to say, and it's also different because, I mean, I would and will go to a strip club in Atlanta because I'm excited about, and also I've seen this, so I will say the caveats for me have been Black queer spaces. I wish that I could remember the name of it, but there was a Black queer space that I went to in Baltimore, which is where I most recently moved from, where I was like, yes. This, where they were giving narrative, they were giving performance, they were giving audience participation and feedback. You know, the folks were Black. There was Chocolate City Burlesque. Nobody was a pole dancer in that space, but there was an amazing skill in terms of like striptease and narrative while I was living in DC. I don't know if in Florida they have the same kind of culture, because in Atlanta anybody will go to a strip, like it's a social outing that you can go to. But
those spaces are like intentional compared to Miami.
A culture,
There's not really an intention. Like even in London they have like harpies, and they just had backstage pole. There's a lot of restriction here with what you can do as a dancer, what you can wear, how you can wear your hair, how you can have your makeup done. Like there's no, I don't just speak to other dancers, but I speak to men who frequent the strip club, especially back in the 2000s. And I had a male friend basically tell me, like, you know, to him, like strip dancers were like, it's like models, like you're looking for something different. Like that you don't necessarily see everywhere. And he felt like now all the women in the club look the same. Like, and it's nothing, no shade to those women, but it's like they all have the same kind of phenotype, or it's like everyone has to have a wig, or everyone just has to fit into a certain box of what a stripper is because of like what society is showing.
You're selling a different fantasy, so it's a very specific and narrow fantasy.
It's a narrow fantasy, and before the fantasy was much more like.
And then you have the twerking classes and the pole classes, which are often women who have been socialized to say, you can't be, if you're sexualized in this way, then it's bad, and your social value goes down. But you still want to be desirable, and so you can do these things as a fitness class.
Especially in Miami.
Can be okay.
Yes, and that's a good point that someone was I also heard from someone else, is that in Miami especially, it's like everyone kind of has co-opted a stripper, like many women have co-opted a stripper in sex work, or like that type of like look and aesthetic. So it's kind of like when you go to the club, it's not special. Like even sometimes people are like, you know, they won't let those women in because they're like, we can't tell if you're a dancer.
You'll compete with the people who are working.
We can't tell if you're a dancer or if you're just some girl sitting here. And clubs were much more diverse. Even when I look at older dancer pictures, there's different types of girls who have different types of piercings and just different types of styles. Like even myself being in a gentleman's club, I was really advised against my style, which is more alternative. But then I would see white women who were alternative white women, and they made that their whole look. And it's like I had to be like feminine in a way that was very restrictive to me. It wasn't my actual expression.
Like white supremacy.
Yeah, it's like blonde wig, basic like makeup, blonde long wig, certain type of dress. I couldn't wear knee-high boots. I couldn't have like the name Pixie.
That's the thing too with
The boots.
Well, shoes.
Yes.
When you're talking about pole fitness classes versus professional sex workers and people who are dancing for a living, is shoes versus barefoot, and also just like the brands that make like pole fit clothing for different things as opposed to the brands that professionals wear. But I want to bring it back, just because we're getting to the end of our time for this episode, I want to bring it back to the twerk shop. So we talked about all these things and the white women appropriating the culture, and I didn't get back to my question about appropriation versus appreciation. But then thinking about the twerk shop and my motivations for going, I mean, I was born and raised in Atlanta, and some of it is just like, I feel like this is my cultural inheritance. Like I was alive during the era of Freaknik, which bring back Freaknik. I never got to experience it. But I don't know how to twerk because of these respectability politics. But now I'm also in Florida where, like you said, everybody has appropriated this like body type. But also Florida is the first place that I've been where like non-black people twerk as well. I mean, just in terms of like club and party, where it's just, there's a normalization of it. And I'm like, I want to be able to participate in that with my friends, which is why I want to be able to go to the twerk shop. But specifically, I want to be able to participate in it with my friends, and I want to be able to do it in spaces where I don't have to worry about being somebody's like fantasy or somebody projecting, where I can just like do it for me with my friends because I want to, because I'm excited about it. And that's why I'm excited about, because I know it's just going to be us. I know it's going to be trans affirming, it's going to be queer affirming, it's going to be body affirming for anybody of any type of body. I know that me with my 1 week of getting my pinky toes to actually make my ass cheeks move is going to be like fine and celebrated, and then I'll be able to like learn and grow over time as we have more workshops.
And I would say, like, for me, like, I grew up in Miami. When I moved to Miami was very much like the South. It still is, but it was extremely black.
Wait, when did you move to Miami? From where?
In 2004.
Okay.
So that was like the peak of like 106 in Park and like booty shaking and like Southern hip hop and like Lil Wayne.
Ooh, was that the thong song? No, the thong song was after that. Before that.
It was before. It was maybe 2002, 2001, the thong song. But now, like, as you said, it is like, I was explaining to my coworkers the twerk shop thing, and they were just like, oh, well, twerking is black. Duh. And I was like, no, like, where I'm from, there's no duh when it comes to that. And as you were saying, it's like, to me, if you are participating in something black and you don't know that there are those respectability politics for black people and black femmes, or even black queer people and gay men, like, if you don't know that that exists, then maybe you should think about participating in that if you really don't know, like, kind of all of the complicated feelings behind it and how oppressive it has been. I always find it weird, like, when people will, like, use someone else's culture for their liberation, because it is unfair to that group of people, because you're saying, and I've heard other black people say, like, I never learned to twerk, or I feel uncomfortable doing it because I was told it wasn't okay, and I just don't know how. And it's
also sometimes you feel uncomfortable doing it because other black people will shame you for not knowing how to do it, even though you're not allowed to do it because black respect is a whole.
Exactly. And then sometimes those black people will praise someone who isn't black doing that activity. And it's kind of like, this is literally, it is, people don't want to say it, but it is your cultural birthright to participate in anything that is a part of your culture. Like, it's a black thing, and black people are allowed to do it and should be allowed to do it. And that's something I want people in Miami to really think about. Because I feel like there are a lot of cultures here that some people, like, there's a lot of crossover with Caribbean culture and other cultures. And people will be like, oh my God, like, you know about that? Or what do you know about that? And it's like, you literally twerk and you literally use AAVE. Like, so why can't I know about this when it also is technically a part of my culture? There's a lot of, like, even going to those twerk classes. Like, the other day, I went to a pole dance with class with a friend, and there was a twerking warm-up, and everyone was tired, and I was the only one that was still going. And everyone was like, wow, like you were just twerking for so long, and you kept going, we can't believe it. And I was like, well, yeah, because I'm black. And like, that's fine. Like, of course I can twerk for a long time. I'm black.
I'm black and I cannot twerk for a long time.
Well, we're gonna teach you. We're gonna get you. We're gonna get you to that level that everyone's like, oh my gosh, like twerks for a long time.
Yeah.
But
all of my twerking dreams come true.
Yeah, but there definitely is like here, just like normal. People really. It's very commonplace for black things to kind of be taken over, and I think people, you know, I don't want to say who can and can't do anything. I'm pretty clear. All I want to say is it's black.
Yep.
But it would be nice if when people do participate in something, they learn the origins of it, they learn how it affects people. Like going to a twerk class and then learning to twerk to like Meg the Stallion, and then you don't know any black woman, or you actually don't like know how black women feel about anything, is like really weird. And then you have like some big booty, bodacious black woman who's beautiful, who's scared to twerk because she's like ashamed. And then you got some white girl who's like, I'm busting it open everywhere. And it's like, girl, give a little space.
Okay, so on a lighter note.
Yes.
Also putting Wansi on the spot, even though Wansi may not be able to do this, but we're going to pray to our gods of twerking. What is your favorite song to twerk to?
Ooh, okay. What is my favorite song to twerk to?
What is your favorite song to twerk to? And then let's twerk our way out. I'm not going to make the whole... I'm going to try.
Absolutely.
I'm going to try.
Let's see. I would say right now, because it can change, let's do... Let's
I could have been like, okay, what is
let's
the
do
song?
Shake That Monkey by Too Short.
I was gonna be like, okay, it could be like a favorite memory that you have of twerking.
Ooh, okay, you know what? We're gonna get Florida with it. Let's do Clap Them Thighs.
Clap.
We gonna do Clap Them
That
Thighs.
also sounds like a...
We gonna be Florida.
By who? Who is Clap Them
I
Thighs?
don't even know who sing that. I just heard that everywhere. Clap Them Thighs. Who sing Clap Them Thighs? Y'all know? Akaya would know.
We don't know.
Yes.
Who?
That's the North Miami Beach. Yes. Yes.
Oh, come twerk it out with us, Golden.
Y'all.
This
So we
is
used
not
to
how I
set
thought
up to
this
this
was gonna
game.
sound.
We vibe. Ladies, clap them thighs. Get loose with it. Clap them thighs. Clap them thighs. Clap them thighs. Clap them thighs. Stay every do it, every try. Every stay every do it, every try. Every stay every do it, every try. Every stay every do it, every try. I hit the club, now I'm shonen. Hot 2 fighter, not a Grey Goose Poen. I'm 5G5, I'm soaring. I'm live, I'm up, never snoring. Girl, AMG, so adoring. So my eyes started exploring. The beast in my pants started roaring. I had to tell it, calm down, that's a warning. Go ahead, shake, shake what you got, girl. Go throw it back, girl. Grind on the sack, girl. Ooh, you dance so nasty, but you look so classy. Girl, come holla at the Iceman. Gotta be the right man. Keep it Joe tight, man. Stay with the green like a Sprite can. Girl, I'm a rapper, not a hype man. Yeah, yes, I'm fly. He be the Iceman, just that guy. This girl here, she on fire. Just no hair like the 4th of July. Not brown eye, super fit eye. Pretty small waist, and mommy ain't shy. Ooh, just know that. Come tell a lick in the Iceman pole. Girl, you look too good. I ain't gon' lie, you know you should what? Chill for the G, then turn around and grind on me. Ooh, you dance so nasty, but you look so classy. Girl, just vibe with me, make it hit for your back, lie with me. Girl, what else can you do? I ain't gon' lie, let me grip on you, yeah. Your hips so right, let me see you clap that thing all night. Stick it, baby, do it, baby, drop, baby, stick it, baby, stick it, baby, do it, baby, drop, baby, stick it, baby, stick it, baby, do it, baby, drop, baby, stick it, baby, stick it, baby, do it, baby, drop, baby, stick it, baby.
Hey, I ain't come here to brag. Like 305 fresh, take a look at my swag. And girl, I can be your next man. Feel like Wolverine the way I pop so much X, man. come jump with a G. Sipping on goose while you grind on me. Look back at it, and I'ma jump on it like a jackrabbit. Then they gon' stick in, then they gon' trick in. Shaking that thing, got everybody looking. Give me one time, I'ma get all in it. I be like Metro and give it any time it is. I pay for it, I'ma throw my money at her. Booty so big that I gotta get at her. Mama looking good, better than the rest. Like Subway, little mama always stay fresh. I wanna take you home, the Chevy outside. So baby girl, let me know if you wanna ride. You and your friends.
What a booty shaking session. That was fun. So somebody else got to pick up your own money.
My money. I gave it away. I'm kitten.
In your bag, in your money bag.
I'm the kitten. I'm the money picker upper. So, I mean, actual official closing. The twerk shop.
Yes.
I don't know the address. Do you know the address? The twerk shop is going to be on April 13th. It's going to be from 2:30 to 4:30. And
it's going to be at 2200 Southwest 16th Street in Coral Gables.
It's in Shenandoah, but it's near Coral Gables. It's at Miami Capoeira Solilua Studio. Thanks to them for hosting us. And it's sliding scale. So we're asking for $2
to $7, whatever you can send.
And we love it when it's in singles.
Yeah, and it's optional if you want to bring money to throw. It's a class and we're teaching, but if you
I'm not teaching.
Yeah, I'm teaching with Golden. I'm Pixie and I'll be teaching with Golden, who's an amazing dancer. Golden can clap her ass cheeks, which is next level, but if you do have great twerking skills and you just want to come, it's like going to be very communal. We're all going to be dancing together.
Yes, Golden, our other teacher.
Yes, this is Golden, my twerking partner. And we're just going to be showing you how to like get down and really get real nasty with it and southern and throw money and just free your body and just a place to feel free. So
let's do it.
Come on down to the twerk shop and you're going to be in space with other black and brown people, other queer people. No need to worry about your body, how it looks, how you present.
Wear what you want.
Wear what you want. If you
don't
want to
wear what you don't want.
Yeah, if you want to wear booty shorts and a little tank top, if you want to wear like what you think you would wear if you was a stripper, like pull up in that. Like
you want to wear an oversized t-shirt and super baggy jeans.
Yeah, with a sneaker. Listen, studs twerk too.
You can do whatever you want to do.
Yep.
It's welcome. And this is the first of many, and we'll be back for more twerk history before the next class. Thanks for having us.
See you later.